The United States has significantly ramped up economic pressure on Cuba following Wednesday's move to allow lawsuits against foreign firms over property seized from Americans following Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. This decision, effective May 2nd, was announced on Wednesday by National Security Advisor John Bolton and was immediately met with a strong reaction from the Cuban government.
We are always willing to have a dialogue on an absolutely respectful basis. But if the U.S. government has adopted a confrontational route, we will not hesitate to defend the achievements of the revolution at any price.
Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel tweeted, "The Cuban people will not surrender." He said, "In Cuba, we are the boss." The Communist Party's newspaper Granma published an editorial condemning the U.S. move that will allow suits against companies operating on properties which it termed as legally nationalized and not confiscated, as Washington argues. Reaction to the U.S. decision also came from the European Union's ambassador to Cuba, Alberto Navarro, during an European Union-Cuban Environment Forum in Havana.
The extraterritorial enforcement of the U.S. embargo is illegal. It runs contrary to international law and, in my view, it is immoral. It's been 60 years of suffering for the Cuban people.
Allowing lawsuits under a provision known as the Title III of the Helms-Burton Act could lead to billions of dollars in legal claims and hurt Cuba's efforts to attract more foreign investment. The U.S. also announced on Wednesday tighter travel restrictions to Cuba and limits to family remittances, changes that are not welcomed by everyday Cubans.
This worsens the situation in Cuba because the Cuban community in the U.S. is large and sends important remittances which do not solve all our problems, but do help us.
It is fatal for the Cuban people, and I think it's unfair. The Cuban people do not deserve that. They are trying to asphyxiate us, but they will not succeed.
For many, Washington's decisions to enact Title III of the Helms-Burton Law and impose new sanctions on Cuba will have an impact on the country's economy and social life, and even worsen the already deteriorated relations between Cuba and the United States. Luis Chirino, CGTN, Havana.